This is a quick guide for Arkaos Media Master Pro using version 4.1.5 in demo mode. This is for those that have already attended the class as a quick guide to remind them how to do certain things. We want to make sure that under File, Preferences, you are in theater mode. You also want to look at your output, make sure that you're in video mapper mode. If not, click OK. Once you made those changes, the software will restart in this environment. Here on channel 1, you got your visual. Once you click on that, you can choose which folder you want to choose your video from, and once you do that, you can double click on the visual to insert it into that channel. Here on your drop downs is where you're going to use your effects. You also have your positioning, which is full screen, which is default, to use the entire surface. Mixing, this is where you can remove black, remove white, maybe from logos. You can do long fades, things like that. And your output will give you a list of outputs once you create those surfaces in Media Master mapping software. Here we have a pause for the motion loop. This here is your hotkey for your keyboards. You have your DMX channel and your MIDI channel. This is your fader that's going to turn it on. And then you have 3 assignable knobs. If you click on Edit right above the channel, you're going to get the window that allows you to adjust those triggers here. If you click on Learn and you press the trigger, the key on the keyboard, that will take effect here. Those 3 controller knobs are assigned here. You can use anything from visual to tiling to color and to rotation. You can assign a DMX number here for that. Always remember to hit Save to New if making any adjustments to the position, rotation, or any changes to the presets that are currently in here. We want to do a text management. You can choose your text lines here, typing in whatever you want. Then what you want to do is on your visual, you want to scroll all the way down and choose your text folders. This is where you're going to choose what effect you want. So if I'm choosing this, now on the text itself, I'm using here. You'll notice it'll scroll across here. This is where I can choose which text line is going to be shown across my mapping software. This is where I change the effect of what it does. On the right side, you're going to have your master control. If you happen to hook up DMX, remember that your brightness will always reset, and so you'll have to bring your brightness up. This section here is our frames per second. We want to make sure we stay above 32 frames per second on the GPU. If we drop below that, we need to start taking off some of the visuals. This is where we're going to see choppiness in the videos that are on the mapped surfaces. The latch option here is where you can click on and enable the key. So if I click on W, notice how it doesn't stay. But if I click on latch, now I hit W, it stays on. Now we can go into the video mapping software by clicking on Edit and Video Mapper. In the video mapping software, you're going to see a list of projectors and local monitors here. We want to make sure that the local monitor is not enabled, but all projectors that you're going to be using for mapping are enabled here. We're also, for this demo, we're going to go to Sources, and we're going to use a test card by double clicking on it. Notice down here in Applications, once we're ready to go to Screen and pull those visuals from Media Master, we're going to double click on Media Master. Right now we're going to use a test card. So I'm going to go back to Mapping Setup, and in order to enable this projector onto our stage, we want to click on the Enable Disable Full Screen. Now remember, anything that's highlighted or enabled here, once we click on Enable Full Screen, will allow us to map on our stage. I'm going to go ahead and click on the surface here, and for demo purposes not enable this. We can also double click here to rename the label, because once we have multiple surfaces it tends to get out of hand on knowing what's what, so it's best to double click there and label it. You also have your eyelid that allows you to disable it and enable it from the visual out on stage. We have our grid points here that allow us to move the object and start mapping. We can click on edit grid. This will enable the 4 points around the surface. This is what allows us to start doing our 3D mapping on objects on the stage. Now, one thing to note, if you uncheck the edit grid, it's going to reset your surface. So if you spent quite a bit of time getting that just right, just remember you don't want to uncheck that edit grid once you've made those edits. You also have the ability to add control points horizontally or vertically here, as many as you'd like, and those can be moved as needed around the objects on stage. You have the curved option. Notice how it curves, or linear option, depending on what you want to do. For now, I'm going to reset this. Here we have the cropping window, and this is going to allow us to take the image from Media Master and crop out only what we want. Notice on the bottom on the surface too, it's showing what I'm copying up here on the crop section. Once I'm ready to get my visuals from Media Master, I'm going to go to Sources, double click Media Master, and you'll notice that I have the demo here, but I have Surface 1 and Surface 2. Surface 1 is full because I didn't change any of the cropping, and on Surface 2, because I made an adjustment to the cropping, you're going to see that I'm only showing that portion of the video here. Back here in Media Master, now that I have multiple surfaces, in Outputs, I'm going to have those outputs listed here. So I can send this visual to either Surface 1 or Surface 2 or to all surfaces. I can now also go to Output and create my groups. So I can create a new group to show them, and I can name that as a whatever I want as a preset. Then I can select which surfaces I want to enable at the same time, and if I go to Output, you're going to see that preset for output group is going to be on both, or whatever I named it, and choosing only the surfaces that I want enabled. Another quick thing is masking. Once you're in Video Mapper, you can enable masking here on the surface. You can open it up. You want to make sure that you are in your masks folder. Once you're in your mask folder, then you can choose which object, which mask you want to use. So this is where you would adjust that. You can invert it, black or transparent. When adding multiple surfaces, you have the snap surface. So I can kick down here and these surfaces will snap to each other when this is enabled. If that's disabled, then you can freely move those around. Same thing with the link grid points. Once we have the grid points on there, it will lock in there to those grid points. This is going to be your cursor on your stage. This will allow, once this surface selection flash is enabled, as you choose different surfaces, they will flash on the screen to allow you to know which one you're actually selecting. This here is going to give you your raster box on the stage, which allows you to see where your fine tuning is on the mapped objects. This is great for editing purposes only. We don't want to have any of these enabled during show time. Once we are ready to go to show, we can go to Sources, and this is where we're going to click on Media Master. And because we have a visual going already in Media Master, that's going to be sending it to all outputs. We have that here.